from this condition, what advice could you give to them?
No, it's a really difficult situation because they're not only dealing with the physical pain of the problem, but also they're going through so much emotional kind of turmoil with regards to this. And it really doesn't help that there's so much, you know, there's such a stigma attached to women who aren't able to have children. And that's really, you know, it's such a shame. And women generally tend to face that cultural stigma more so than men, unfortunately. You know, that's the reality of the situation. So for anyone who is going through this, and what I can say is, you know, and we all know this, is that the test, you know, subhanAllah, we know that tests come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and every single test is there for a reason. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't put any of us in a test that we cannot bear. So if at times it seems too difficult, just try to see the ease within that test. And that's something we learn from various verses in the Quran, but in particular, you know, we know, the verse, with every hardship comes ease. And we often read that as after every hardship comes ease. But within every hardship, there is an ease to be sought there. So it's about looking for that ease. Another an article I was reading actually on a website. The website's muslimmatters.org. They've got a really nice article about how we can't all be Khadijas, but we can all aspire to be Aisha radiallahu anha. And the idea behind this is that we know that Khadija radiallahu anha, she was the person who gave children to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whereas Aisha radiallahu anha, we know that she didn't have children, but yet she was admired, and she was, you know, subhanAllah, she was a scholar that so many people learnt from. So whilst we all can't be mothers, we all still have something that we're able to offer society. And don't ever feel like because you're not able to have children that's it, that's the end of the line for you. It's definitely not the case. There's so much out there, and there's so much potential for you in terms of looking at other alternative options, and we've spoken about this on the show before. So it's very easy for me to say this, but for anyone who's going through it, you know, they're going through a completely different...
It can be quite traumatic, but you can be a very wonderful auntie to all your nephews and nieces.
There's always that as well.
There's always that, isn't it? SubhanAllah.
I think the other thing as well, if you're in the situation where you've been diagnosed with this, you know, this disease, there's the issue of the fertility complications that may or may not arise as a result of this. But I think just the kind of psyche of being diagnosed with something that has no cure, that can be quite traumatic as well. And I think what we have to do in that situation is just encourage people to, you know, contact organisations like yourselves, to talk to people that are in the same situation, you know, get advice, get support, I think is the main thing. I think very often being able to talk to other people and, you know, say, oh, did you feel this? And you can share experiences. You know, you realise that you're not the only one. I mean, you know, it's a huge problem in the UK.
You know, we've seen this in a lot of the other discussions we've had across the week about that whole connection that you might find with people. And I definitely think online is, you know, there's so many forums online that are able to connect people that are going through the same thing. I definitely think that's the case. And just one last point. I mentioned before about the fact that subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not looking at whether we're a mother, or He's not looking at whether we're married, or whether we're single, or whether we're able to have children or not. And in the Quran it tells us this in Surah Saba, verse 34 to 37, Allah tells us, and it's not your wealth nor your children that brings you nearer to us, i.e. pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but only he who believes and does righteous deeds. There will be twofold reward for what they did, and they will reside in high dwellings in peace and security. SubhanAllah, it's not about all of these things. It's not about the wealth, it's not about the children, it's about you and your actions and your character, and whether you're able to build upon that.
It is an issue of containment, isn't it? Having a containment as far as spirituality is concerned, and emotionally as well. Are there any foods, I'm intrigued to know, are there any foods that you could possibly use? Or
well, yes. I mean, my area is looking at nutrition, and I run the Nutrition Special Interest Group for the American Society of Reproductive Medicine. So we're looking at foods that reduce inflammation and pain in the body, like oily fish, nuts and seeds, olive oil. You know, the green leafy vegetables are very important because they contain indoles, and indoles balance estrogen. Because as a woman with endometriosis, you have too much estrogen dominance and too much progesterone resistance, and we want them together. So green leafy vegetables, as your grandma always said, eat your greens.
She was very right.
So green veg, fresh fruit, almost, I would say, like a hunter-gatherer diet. The diet we evolved on for millennium. Natural foods, not foods high in sugar, because they're locking up zinc and chromium and some of the B vitamins that your ovaries need.
I read a really interesting article by Noreen A. Kassan, who talks about this, who talks about using, you know, herbal remedies, obviously, you know, in line with advice from your GP. But yeah, she talks a lot about that, like green tea, evening primrose oil,
yes,
or, all these kind of things, exactly like you're saying, for hormonal balance.
Yes.
So,
and you can use the herb Agnus castus, but you can't use it if you're on one of the hormone treatments.
Right.
It is interesting, I find, that actually food has such a big impact on our overall health. And we talked about this before, even with, conditions like polycystic ovaries, it is important what you're eating. So I think just generally as women, we need to be very aware of the types of foods we're eating and whether they're going to benefit us or not.
Well, I've done lots of work looking at gluten and wheat, because when I've worked with 20,000 women with endometriosis, and I do a MIMOP from the Medical Research Council, a medical audit with everyone, and I have 82% of women, when they come off wheat, they're pain reducers, and the Italian gynecologists have just copied that research, and they've got 77% of women, when they were off gluten for 12 months, had reduced pain.
Wow.
So there's
a difference,
something
what you're actually putting inside of your body. And it's very important, just generally speaking, as a Muslim, to have a very wholesome diet. So what is your last take message? If somebody's suffering from, or thinks they're suffering from endometriosis, what is the next step?
You must go and see a doctor, get referred to a gynecologist who runs a centre for excellence and expertise, where there's a whole team of people who are used to operating, because your operation may be easy. It may just be burning off little spots. But if it's an operation where the bowel's impacted by an ovary, you need an expert to unpick the adhesions carefully.
So they should certainly definitely go to
See an
a medical professional, and you'll take home message as quickly as
I would just say, don't, at this time it can be very easy to feel isolated. I would say just reach out, speak to people, even if you're not able to definitely talk about the subject, even just speaking about how you're feeling on that particular day. I think that's really important. You do need the support around you. Everyone needs that kind of, companionship and support whenever they're going through anything, even if it's something really small. So with something, this major, I would definitely say seek the support of people around you.
And get the right treatment for you. There are many treatments, but they won't all suit you, so you have to get the right treatment. So be aware, not anxious, and get your friends and family and your loving husband around you to help you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. While there is no known cause for endometriosis, treatments are available to alleviate the pain and reduce the build-up in the body. It is not something to shy away from, and help is at hand and should be sought out. We hope the information on today's show has been useful, and if you wish us to send information on endometriosis, please email us at womensam@islamchannel.tv. For those of you who are sufferers, know that there is expiation with every moment of pain. It was narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhum. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that," as related by Bukhari and me. So after the break, we'll be reviewing some interesting books in our segment, Her Reviews. And if you wish to enter our weekly competition, do stay tuned to find out how. See you in 3. Assalamu alaikum.
Are you looking for a Sharia-compliant, tax-efficient way to save? Islamic Bank of Britain offers the UK's only Sharia-compliant cash ISA, helping you to benefit from tax-free savings whilst remaining true to Islamic principles. You can start saving from just £250 or transfer your existing cash ISA savings to benefit from a competitive rate of return, so you can look forward to a bright future for you and your family. Call us today or visit islamic-bank.com. Banking you can believe in.
سنة واحدة. نعم، إنها سنة واحدة فقط.
تعلمت اللغة العربية في سنة.
الآن أفهم القرآن الكريم.
وفي وسعك أن تفهم القرآن الكريم.
Join the Arabic Intensive Program at Ibrahim College. Call us now on 0207 377 6677 or visit ibrahimcollege.org.uk.
Muslim Charity presents, supporting our sisters with Junaid Jamshed and Wasim Badami. This 7-city tour is part of Muslim charities Hazrat Khadija campaign, supporting and empowering women worldwide. The tour will visit Rochdale, Blackburn, London, Bristol, Birmingham, Dundee and Glasgow. Tickets include a 3-course meal. Book your tickets online by visiting supportingoursisters.co.uk or by calling the ticket hotline on 0207 100 4930. The Dawah Project is spreading the message of Islam through the media. Live Hajj coverage, live prayers and a variety of other religious and seasonal programming. To show your support, call our donation hotline on 0207 330 1744 and help us to educate millions across the world. Sadaqah and Zakah donations are also welcome. For more information on our charity, please log on to www.thedawahproject.com.
Did you know she was born into a crisis that has been ongoing for 65 years? One which saw 700,000 people removed from their homes and forced into refugee camps. Today, the situation has simply worsened, bringing with it a bleak future. What if you had the chance to help just one person? Wouldn't you take it?